Hello everyone, I'm Plasma Warriors, many like to call me that guy with the afro. Sometimes you just have to wonder how the universe works itself out. It's not typical. Every day I have to go and think, what the heck went wrong with a certain convention? Or in some cases, why a certain convention made a mistake that, quite frankly, even though they might not know at the time, kind of screwed them over more times than I could count. Now, I want to make one thing very clear. I am not blaming, at all, Ancient CityCon for what happened, nor am I blaming any other Houston area convention. I want to make sure we understand this. I'm not going after OniCon, Delta HCon, Anime Matsuri, or Anime Texas. I'm gonna cringe at the end of this video even harder, trust me. But we need to talk about what happened with Anime Houston, and particularly, I was gonna make this video a little bit ago, but I got sick with the virus. Yeah, we went to Dragon Con and everybody kind of got sick individually. As you can probably tell, my voice isn't 100% there yet. So, thus the constant clearing my throat. I went and got sick at a convention for people. I wasn't sick at the convention. I got sick after or something. Anyway, long story short, Dragon Con was awesome. You should go to it. End of discussion there. Anyway, to the point. Now, the thing is, a lot of conventions and volunteer groups have become very, how do we put this? Dumb. I mean, I hate to say it, but 85% of the time, you should never go and say, well, we have enough people. I'm always got a quote, and this is very true because I'll even give you an example later on, is no matter how many people you think you need at a convention, at about 25% of that, you might get halfway there. Example later. But I was applying multiple years, of course, for Anime Houston, a safety group, and when you're a multi-year veteran of a convention and you want to continue working with it, the last thing you expect to hear, or the last thing someone should tell you is, well, we don't want you back. Well, in my book, okay, whatever, big deal. I can move to another con. I hate to say it, but a lot of conventions, especially volunteer groups in some cases, don't have a lot of loyalty. They really don't have a lot of, oh, by the way, you did a great job for us for the last 6 years. Come on back again. I hate to say this, but there's a group in general in Houston that they usually go to a lot of the conventions in the area. They volunteer for different group sessions. I know somebody does guest relations. I know somebody does tech ops. I know somebody does registration. Most of the people in Houston typically volunteer for multiple conventions and keep volunteering for them. But what happened is I got told at Anime Houston, well, we don't really feel like having you back. So my point of view is, well, thanks, but no thanks. What the heck ever. Big deal. So what? This leads me to look for other conventions around the country. I've got an open date this weekend, so now I'm not going this way. Might as well look to see if I can go somewhere else. Now, I looked, and generally speaking, there was only a few places around. The only one that was within reason was Ancient CityCon. I can't remember exactly where it was. I think it was St. Augustine, Florida. It's within my reach, It's not a giant step away from me, but it's not quite close to where I want to be. So I'm like, okay, I might apply for this. Just take a look at the guest list. Is there anybody I recognize? What does this have to do with Anime Houston, you may ask? Well, I think people have given up on it at the top. And I do mean at the very top. And I'll explain that in a moment. But from what I've been hearing, Anime Houston has been, well, kind of a mess. Now, I will grant them this. Part of it is that the hotel changed ownership literally the day before the convention. So things got kind of jumbled around. The con still went on, so it's not their fault. It does remind me of the second year of OniCon when they had the same problem with the hotel changing ownership and pretty much ruining half of what was going to happen. They screwed up a lot of stuff with that convention. It was not OniCon's fault either, to be fair. So I'll give Anime Houston that one. But what I'm not about to give them is the layout looks absolutely god awful. What I've been hearing is that the main events is legitimately in the main lobby right by registration. You don't even really have to have a badge, I don't think. You can just look right across from the hallway from where I saw it to see main events. And, the cosplay show, that's big and that's number one thing. And I mean, whatever. If I can see it from across a hallway, that's a problem. All that aside, not bringing back one of your long-term volunteers, having a terrible layout, the money was a problem from what I could see. Now, I checked this on Monday before the convention, and they have a certain amount of VIP badges, and my reviews that I wrote, I actually said that VIP badges weren't really that worth it because you're not getting a lot of value anyway, to my knowledge. So that was a bit of a problem. They started with I think 250, and they still had 38 or 36 left. That number's pretty much They should be sold out by the month prior. So having a week still with badges on the table to buy is kind of a problem no matter what convention you run. And I'm kind of concerned that they didn't have enough money to pull the resources they needed to. Now, I grant you this, it's inexpensive with the general passes. I think they still do under $30 with taxes and fees and all that, which is actually fairly good, but you also have to have the volume. When you're at that price point, you're not going to get, I would say, the easiest convention to put together. I think they went back to the original hotel, which is not before the change of name. There was a Hyatt something, but it was in Greenspoint, and anyone knows Greenspoint, that area is absolutely crime ridden, and it's just nobody wants to go there. I don't blame them. I mean, I wouldn't want to be in that area normally either, but all that aside, I can even forgive all that somewhat if it weren't for, again, me looking at other conventions around in Florida. Like, I'm trying to see what else is going on. So I look at Ancient CityCon, and I look at the guest list, and do you know who the co-chair of Anime Houston is? I don't know this guy very well, so I'm not 100% sure if he was great, a jerk. No. The only three people that I can remember in the anime industry in general that were net negative for more than one or two moments are Greg Ayers. I know a lot of people will agree with me on that. What's his name? Did a lot of Funimation, the voice of one of the Class 1B guys. Can't remember exactly. I'll figure it out in a moment. And I think that the last one, I don't even remember her. It was like years ago, and I haven't seen her in a long time. Not Monica Rial. I know that. Not Jamie Marcy. I've never met them. Most of them are pretty good. I can't remember her name. It's been so long. She's kind of grinds on me a bit. I can't remember her name. It's been like 15 years. Yeah, long story short. Um, so, a lot of these voice actors I know of, and then there was one that runs Anime Houston, and that one is John Swayze. Now, I look at this convention, Ancient CityCon, and I'm like, this might be great. And I look at the guest list, and sure enough, John Swayze happens to be at Ancient CityCon the same weekend that Anime Houston is going on. Now, typically, if your con chair is not at the same convention that they're supposed to be running, that's a problem. Because as much as I have said, and as much as people have gone on agreeing with a lot of things about Anime Matsuri, at least John Leigh is there when the convention's running. I'm about to puke actually admitting John Leigh did something good. Please stop me now. But in all seriousness, if you are a con chair and you're not at your convention, or you're not trying to operate it at least remotely, that's a problem. I don't know how bad it looks at Anime Houston. I'm not there. But what I've been told, it's been worse than it was before. Now, I do know something. I do know that someone said that the Artist Alley was in a disarray. I could see by the layout it was pretty badly organized. It's like in the back corner of a hallway itself. And it's kind of like, I don't really think this is going to work. And to be fair, the downtown hotel was probably the best spot the Anime Houston's been in. But everything looks like, and dare I say it with a straight face and a very honest opinion, I think they kind of gave up this year. Now, again, not being there, I can't confirm everything, but think of it so far. When you run a convention at a terrible location that everyone knows is terrible, let alone the hiccup with the hotel, which isn't their fault, and say that you're not bringing back a multi-year veteran volunteer, and you're not able to get enough of your VIP badges to run the convention as you need it, and your convention chair isn't at the con, that's a problem. Not a red flag. It's a stay away. Now, there is some dark irony to all this, to be fair. Had they actually kept me as a volunteer and said, sure, we'll help you out. We've been great, you've been great, we worked together, no big deal. This guy likes you, we like you, let's keep going with this. I would not have looked into any other conventions. Ergo, I've not looked at Ancient CityCon, who, again, I have no disrespect to. I am not antagonizing, I'm not attacking. They're the ones who made the idea of bringing John Swayze there, not me. I had nothing to do with it, and I would not have seen that John Swayze would not be at Anime Houston, or even if you kind of sort of maybe hint you're not going to be there. That's a problem. Now, lo and behold, and I mean this with a straight face and a realistic point of view, I have had a lot of problems with conventions that in general, for no God-given reason, been standoffish. Now, let me explain. I am fine with going wherever, whenever. I still work with a lot of good conventions. Heck, I'm planning on working with Anime Weekend Atlanta this year. Great people so far, what I've heard. I've actually talked to one of the owners, like, even though Dragon Con is massive, and they're like, we can't compete with Dragon Con. I'm not saying you have to compete with Dragon Con. I mean, Dragon Con has some of the coolest people to ever go to a convention. You don't have to compete with their numbers. Just be positive, Generally speaking, if you're that kind of convention that you've just basically said we give up on our top end, why are we having this conversation? Why are we discussing what might be or what might not be? And lo and behold, again, dark irony. I would not have looked at this had I not been accepted. So, regardless of its karma or just me in general saying this, I'll say it one time because a lot of people have done it, and it's just been a continuing theme. I don't know how it can get any more obvious by this point. I'm not saying I have any control over this. I'm not one of those magic dark craft practitioners. I'm just saying when you screw me over, bad things tend to happen. Ever heard of the crescent sites? Exactly. The point I'm trying to make is, I don't think it has to do with the karma aspect, but the reality is, it is a constant, and I mean over and over and over, and it's been that way since I was 18, give or take. I'm not here saying that I should be praised as the greatest ever. I'm not saying I didn't do wrong things. Heck, you ever heard anything I did with Project Melody? Well, then again, Project Melody was on the decline any flippin' way. I'm just saying, if you mess with me, stuff happens to you. I don't wish ill will on anybody. Let me make it very clear. I am not saying anything against Ancient City Con particularly because they have nothing wrong with it. And you know what? That's cool with me. I don't really have any problems with them bringing in who they want to. But I also know it's a bad idea to make the Plasma Warrior dude angry. I don't get it. I don't try to destroy people's careers, lives, or whatever. And yes, I believe that San Japan was going downhill anyway. But for the 5 trillionth time, stop doing it. Now, if I legitimately break one of your rules, and trust me, I have done so, you think I haven't broken rules on different places? Hell, I'm not allowed to do anything on certain Discord servers because I called out their little minions like a bunch of assholes. Oh, that's easy, broken rules. Seriously, some people have such thin skin nowadays, but that's not the point. I've yelled at certain bosses I had before, like, you're a jerk, you need to stop being dumb. I've gotten rid of any kind of, you know what, goodwill toward NRG Stadium. You'll never see me around the Houston Texans again. Yeah, scrap them. But if you try to fudge with me, bad things just happen. I have no control over it. I'm not saying I wish ill on you. It's just how it is. Seriously, I don't get it either. But in any case, if Anime Houston is giving up, they need to do so sooner rather than later. Because you know what I hate to say? Cons don't pay for themselves. A rule I've learned multiple times over. Just ask a Suricon. I still want to find out what happened to DJ Lin. But in general, Anime Houston has problems they need to fix, and trying to divide the fan groups also isn't going to help. I know a few people who refuse to go to Anime Houston simply because, I don't really know in general terms, but if you're gonna really make it to where the community doesn't want to go to your con, what the heck, you have somebody from another side of the country who's willing to go anywhere. Generally at conventions, I'll pay for my own way there and back. Believe me, I have paid for my own airfare, hotel, multiple conventions, simply because I like bringing things from what I had back to the people who go to these conventions, rather than just, I'm going just to go. If you're that kind of shallow, I hate to say, you kind of need to quit. I don't know if I would say give up on Anime Houston, but honestly, if the convention chair isn't there and John Swayze, why should I be? Oh, by the way, I remember that guy's name, Eric Val. I'll even give you the story. There was this one convention in San Antonio where there was an 18 and up panel. One guy was on the outside. He didn't want to go into the panel. And immediately Eric Vile screamed out, "You're a D. What an a-hole. Anyway, not as heavy curse words because I'm trying to actually get money for once. Yeah, I know, I'm small time, but still, I actually would love to be monetized. Somewhat. Like, share, subscribe. Seriously, I want to bring out better conventions than this, like OniCon. Huh? Yeah, don't forget about them. That's going to be happening October 11th through 13th in Galveston Island. That is my next planned convention. And believe me, OniCon, again, I know they picked up John Swayze as a guest. I'm not going after OniCon. This isn't their fault for what happens with Anime Houston. Has been a staple for the last 20 years. And only OwlCon has lasted longer. That's impressive in the city of Houston. Anyway, like, share, subscribe. I will see you at OniCon in a month's time. Donate to my PayPal and to my coffee down below. And I will see you all later.